Hello and welcome to Rotten Reviews. Now, long before 2014's lackluster movie Ouija, and certainly long before Mike Flanagan's 2016 follow-up that had no right to be as good as it was, we had 1986's Witchboard. Requested by patron Nikki, she says, I again have nostalgia to blame. I tend to prefer the supernatural, more thoughtful side of horror, but sometimes love to watch just very much popcorn-type horror, and 80s horror is a good memory for me. The films were just crazy, and I did like this one. It isn't overtly original ongoing for any awards, but it is, in my mind, a good, fun horror and is underrated. Written and directed by Kevin Tenney, this tells the story of a group of, well, let's say friends. There's some relationships there with some strained history, and if individuals involved aren't currently friends, they at least were once upon a time. We have some familiar groundwork laid here, with a party being thrown and a spirit board being brought out as a point of group interest, this time to talk to the spirit of a dead 10-year-old boy that has previously been the point of afterlife contact, David.
David, can you hear me? Would you like to talk to us?
Things don't go so hot when skeptic members of the party upset David, who shuts off contact in a violent display. At this point, there's just a bit of faffing around with a spirit who throws a temper tantrum. However, the real horror begins when Linda goes against instruction and attempts to contact David herself after the party, which opens up a huge can of worms that causes her to become addicted to the Witchboard, while those around her begin questioning who she's really talking to on the other side. Okay, obviously this isn't our first cinematic foray into spirit board interactions gone bad. Arguably, the most famous of which came 13 years prior when Reagan ran afoul of Pazuzu in The Exorcist. But even before that, we had 1930's The Bat Whispers, 1944's The Uninvited, and of course the 1960 William Castle classic 13 Ghosts. However, I think the charm of Witchboard doesn't come from its well-worn concept, but rather its characters and its sense of fun. The three main characters of Jim, Linda, and Brandon, played by Todd Allen, Tawny Kitaen, and Stephen Nichols respectively, prove to have an interesting dynamic of unrequited love, fracturing a friendship that must be mended if Linda or anyone else is to be saved. While not going the route of full-throttle zaniness like other 80s classics such as Tenney's more famous Night of the Demons, Witchboard still employs a sense of fun and high energy at times. Kathleen Wilhoit playing the medium Zarabeth was the full embodiment of a 1980s cheesefest character, and I was absolutely there for it. Interestingly, the movie wound up in a bit of a legally nebulous territory, with principal photography shooting several scenes with the Parker Brothers board and the intention of titling the film Ouija, and after some potential litigation looming, had to put up a $50,000 bond to protect themselves, and wound up reshooting some scenes with a more generic board and a more generic title. I'm not going to try and make the case that this movie is anything more than just popcorn entertainment. It's not high art, it's not terribly thought-provoking, it didn't really elicit many emotions in me beyond just goofy enjoyment. It's not a film, it's a flick. But in that, I think there was a certain measure of success. I had fun watching it, plain and simple. All of the stiff dialogue, hammy acting, and cheesy effects that just added to the enjoyment. There were lulls in the pacing that threatened to stall out any momentum it had previously built, but fortunately, Witchboard knew when to shift out of those moments, sometimes at the last second. Going on to spawn two sequels, Witchboard 2 in 1993 and Witchboard 3 The Possession in 1995, I'm grateful for Nikki recommending this one to me. If you're in the mood for some innocent 80s fun that doesn't go terribly hard but also avoids being a snooze fest, Witchboard proves to be a competent, middle-of-the-road horror movie with some interesting characters to follow. It's not a roller coaster, but it is a delightful little carnival ride, and with that, I put my stamp of approval on this little flick from 1986. So thank you to Nikki for recommending this one to me, and thank you for watching this video. If you've seen Witchboard, or if you're going to watch Witchboard, please leave comments. I'd love to hear what you think of this movie. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, it's always fun getting the input from other community members. So please, leave your comments below, and if you like this video, please click like, and if you're not subscribed already, please do so. Definitely helps out, especially smaller channels such as mine. So thank you very much again for joining me. I look forward to seeing you on my next review. And remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and